Hey viewers, welcome to African Tales by Afi. Please kindly click the subscribe button to get notified for more amazing stories. The sun peeked gently over the rooftops of Meadowville, painting the sky with warm orange and golden colors. Birds chirped happily as children prepared for school and grown-ups hurried to work. Among them was Lena, a young woman with big brown eyes, a bright smile, and a heart as warm as fresh bread. Every morning, Lena woke up before the stars had faded. She lived in a tiny one-room house with her little brother, Toby, who was still snuggled under his blanket. "Time to wake up, sleepy turtle." Lena giggled, tapping his nose gently. But Linnea, Toby groaned, pulling the blanket over his head. "It's too early. Even the sun is still yawning." "I know," she said, ruffling his hair. "But I've got rooms to clean and beds to make. And you've got school. Let's make today great, okay?" After preparing his breakfast and kissing him goodbye, Lena hurried off. She wore her cleanest uniform, still a bit faded, and carried a small bag with her lunch, a boiled egg, a piece of bread, and an apple. Her shoes were worn at the edges, but they still carried her proudly. As she crossed the street near the big fountain in front of Meadowville Grand Hotel, something unexpected happened. Swoosh! Splash! A shiny silver car sped through a puddle, splattering muddy water all over Lena's skirt and shirt. Lena gasped, looking down at the brown stains on her light blue uniform. Her heart sank. "Oh no," she whispered, clutching her bag. The car came to a screeching stop just ahead, and a tall woman stepped out in high heels that clicked against the sidewalk. She wore a glittery purple dress and sunglasses that covered half her face. It was Tessa, the richest woman in Meadowville. She owned a boutique, a bakery, and a dozen pairs of heels. "Well," Tessa said, eyeing Lena with a smirk, "I suppose the puddle couldn't help it." I was just walking to work," Lena said quietly, brushing mud from her clothes. Tessa rolled her eyes. "Next time, try walking on the grass. You're lucky anyone even noticed you." Lena's cheeks flushed with embarrassment. She looked down, holding back tears. What neither of them noticed was the man sitting quietly on a bench nearby, feeding pigeons. He had kind eyes, wore simple clothes, and carried a sketchbook. His name was Jude. Jude saw the whole thing. He saw the way Tessa laughed as she drove off. He saw the way Lena stood frozen, trying not to cry. And he saw something else too, something special in Lena's eyes. "She doesn't deserve that," Jude muttered. "Not one bit." Lena wiped her face, straightened her back, and continued walking toward the hotel. When she arrived, the receptionist gave her a concerned look. "What happened to you?" asked Ms. Rosie, the kind lady behind the desk. "Just a splash from a car," Lena said with a small smile. "I'll wash up and get to work." Ms. Rosie nodded. "That's the spirit, Lena. We're lucky to have you here." Meanwhile, Jude followed at a distance. Not too close. Not too far. He was curious, but not in a nosy way. He just wanted to know more about this girl who didn't shout, didn't cry, and didn't complain even when she had every reason to. As Lena scrubbed bathtubs and polished mirrors, Jude wandered into the hotel cafe, ordered a tea, and pulled out his sketchbook. On the page, he began to draw. He sketched Lena, standing tall with muddy clothes and a hopeful heart. Back in the laundry room, Lena stared at her soiled uniform. "Why did that woman laugh?" she whispered to herself. "Was it funny to her? I won't let it ruin my day," she told her reflection in the mirror. "Toby depends on me. and I'm proud of who I am." Suddenly, Ms. Rosie appeared at the door with a fresh uniform. "A guest saw what happened outside," she said. "He asked if he could help, and he brought this for you." Lena's eyes widened. "Really? Who?" But Ms. Rosie only smiled. "He didn't give a name. Just said to tell you, keep walking tall." Lena held the clean uniform in her arms, feeling warmth in her chest. "Thank you, whoever you are," she whispered. From the cafe window, Jude smiled to himself. He didn't need a thank you. All he needed was to know that maybe, just maybe, he had made someone's day a little brighter. The next morning, Lena awoke to the sound of her alarm and the cheerful chirp of Toby humming in the kitchen. "Look, Lena! I made tea, well, just hot water with honey, but I did it." Toby beamed with pride. Lena gave him a hug and chuckled. "You're amazing, Toby. Maybe one day, you'll be a chef." Toby puffed out his chest. "Or a magician who makes breakfast appear with a wand." They shared a laugh, and Lena tied her clean uniform, the one gifted by the mysterious stranger, neatly around her waist. She couldn't stop thinking about who had sent it. "Keep walking tall," she whispered again, just like the message. As she stepped out into the street, there was no puddle today, and no silver car to splash her. Just the sweet smell of morning and the rustle of leaves dancing in the wind. But a few blocks away, Jude was already awake too. He sat in the cafe again, sipping warm tea and sketching the people walking by. He had drawn Lena 3 more times since yesterday, her face while smiling at a guest, her hands neatly folding towels, and her feet, tired but strong. "She's got fire in her heart," Jude said softly. Suddenly, someone cleared their throat behind him. "Excuse me," said Ms. Rosie, standing with her hands on her hips and a sly grin. "I saw you yesterday, watching Lena. You sent the uniform, didn't you?" Jude looked embarrassed. "Guilty." Ms. Rosie sat down across from him. "Well, I won't tell." "But why?" Most people would have looked the other way. Jude took a slow sip. "Kindness is like sunlight. It helps people grow. I've seen what she goes through. She doesn't ask for help, but she deserves it." Ms. Rosie nodded thoughtfully. "Then maybe you can help again." Back at the hotel, Lena was organizing towels when a sudden voice startled her. "You missed a spot," said Tommy, the hotel owner's young grandson. He was only 10 but acted like he ran the place. Lena smiled patiently. "Did I?" "Thanks for checking, Inspector Tommy." Tommy grinned. "Want help folding towels?" "Only if you're really good at folding," she teased. Tommy puffed his chest. "I fold better than my grandma." As they folded together, Lena didn't notice Jude walking past the hallway with Ms. Rosie. He paused, watching the way she treated Tommy like an equal. No eye rolls, no sighs, just warmth. Later that day, a surprise message came to the front desk. "A guest requested Lena for the special suite," Ms. Rosie said. Lena blinked. "Me? I've never been assigned to the royal suite." "You have now," Ms. Rosie smiled. "Room 501. They specifically asked for the kind girl with the big heart." Lena's heart raced. She took a deep breath, grabbed her cart, and headed up. When she reached the golden double doors, she knocked gently. "Hello? Housekeeping?" No answer. Carefully, she entered. The room was grand, velvet chairs, a marble bathtub, and windows that showed the whole town below. On the table sat a note. "Thank you for being the kind of person who makes the world better just by smiling. Keep walking tall. A friend." Lena looked around. Nobody was there. But her eyes sparkled. Meanwhile, in the lobby, Tessa stormed in, her high heels clacking. "I want to speak to the manager," she barked. My usual suite had crumbs on the table. Ms. Rosie stepped in calmly. "We'll send someone right up." "Good. And tell them I don't want that girl, the one who looked like she crawled through a swamp." Jude, sitting nearby, froze. He clenched his fists. But Ms. Rosie smiled sweetly. "Sorry, ma'am. Lena is working the royal suite today." "What? Who gave her that?" Tessa snapped. Ms. Rosie only smiled. "A guest did. One with very good taste." Tessa huffed, flipped her hair, and stomped to the elevator. Outside the hotel, Jude leaned against a wall and grinned. He had more plans, small things to make Lena's days brighter. Maybe new shoes delivered anonymously. Maybe a sketch of her smile left at the laundry room. Maybe. He pulled out his notebook and drew a new title at the top of a fresh page. "The Girl Who Walked Tall." And in his heart, he knew this story was only just beginning. The next few days in Meadowville were full of surprises. The skies had grown cloudy, and rain tapped on rooftops like tiny drums. But inside the hotel, something even bigger was brewing. Lena had become a quiet star. Guests whispered about her gentle smile, her neat rooms, and how the hotel felt warmer when she was around. "I heard she helped an old man find his missing glasses," said one visitor in the lounge. "She gave me extra cookies for my daughter's birthday," said another. Even the kitchen chef, Mr. Albert, who rarely smiled, said, "She's got magic in her mop." Lena didn't know about most of this. She just did her job, singing softly while sweeping, folding, or fluffing pillows. But Tessa? She noticed. And she didn't like it. "That girl is everywhere," Tessa complained to her assistant, Lana. "She's just a cleaner. Why is everyone treating her like a princess?" "Well, maybe because she's nice?" Lana offered timidly. Tessa narrowed her eyes. "We'll see how nice she is when there's mud on her name." One rainy afternoon, Ms. Rosie called Lena to the front desk. "Lena, darling," she said, beaming. "We have a very important guest arriving tomorrow. The mayor's daughter." "The mayor's daughter?" Lena gasped. "Wow. And she's asked for you to prepare her room. She said she heard about your kindness and wants someone trustworthy and caring." "That's you." Lena smiled shyly. "I'll do my best." Jude, sitting nearby with a cup of cocoa and his sketchbook, heard every word. His heart warmed. Each small push of kindness had helped her climb, and now she was shining on her own. Just then, Tessa strolled past. She paused when she saw Lena. "You," she said sharply. "I hope you know how lucky you are." "I'm just doing my job," Lena replied kindly. "Don't act so sweet," Tessa snapped. "You're only where you are because someone's pulling strings." Jude stood up. "She's here because she deserves to be," he said calmly. Tessa turned. "Who are you? Her fan club?" Jude smiled. "Nope. Just someone who believes good people should rise." Tessa scoffed and stormed off, her heels clicking like angry crabs. That night, as the rain grew heavier, Lena tucked Toby into bed. "I heard you're cleaning a princess's room tomorrow," he giggled. "She's not a princess," Lena laughed. "But I'll pretend she is, just for fun." "You're already the queen of the hotel," Toby said, hugging her. Lena's heart swelled. "Only because you believe in me, little brother." The next morning, the hotel buzzed with excitement. Reporters waited outside. Cameras clicked. The mayor's daughter, wearing a sunflower yellow coat, stepped out of a car with a cheerful wave. She was not what Lena expected. "Hi. You must be Lena," she said brightly. "I'm Ruby. And I've heard you're amazing." Lena blushed. I'm honored, Miss Ruby." "Just Ruby," she said, looping her arm through Lena's. "Come on. Show me the best room in this place." They walked together, laughing like old friends. Upstairs, however, trouble was brewing. Tessa had sneaked into the laundry room early that morning. She found Lena's old muddy uniform, the one she had splashed on the street, and carefully rubbed more dirt onto it. Then she left it hidden under the guest cart, hoping someone would find it and think Lena had left her mess around. "Let's see if she's still the favorite when people think she's dirty," Tessa sneered. But plans like that often backfire. That afternoon, a young bellhop named Finn was pushing the laundry cart when the dirty uniform fell out. "Huh," he muttered, picking it up. He turned it over, and found something inside. A tiny paper scrap. It was the original message from the mystery gift. "Keep walking tall." Finn remembered it. He had seen it in Ms. Rosie's hand days ago. "Wait a second," he murmured. He took the uniform straight to Ms. Rosie, who read the note again and looked up sharply. "This was planted," she said. "And I think I know by who." That evening, in the hotel lounge, Ruby stood beside Lena as reporters asked questions. "You work here?" one asked. "Yes," Lena answered shyly. "I clean rooms and change sheets. I like making guests feel at home." "She's a real gem," Ruby added, placing a hand on Lena's shoulder. Just then, Ms. Rosie arrived, holding the muddy uniform and looking right at Tessa. "Funny how this just appeared today," she said. "After sitting forgotten for a week." Tessa paled. "I'm sure you have an explanation," Ms. Rosie added sweetly. "Like how you got into the staff room without a key." Tessa's voice squeaked. I. Ruby raised an eyebrow. "Sabotaging staff? That's low." The cameras were still rolling. Tessa blinked at the flashing lights and muttered, "I need to go," before rushing out of the hotel. The room was silent for a moment, then full of applause. Lena looked overwhelmed. Jude stepped forward, clapping too. "You stood tall," he said quietly. "I nearly crumbled," Lena admitted. "But you didn't," Jude replied. "And now everyone sees it." Lena looked at him, truly seeing him for the first time. "Wait," she whispered. "It was you, wasn't it? The clean uniform? The sketches?" Jude smiled. "Maybe." They both laughed, and for once, Lena didn't feel small. She felt like the tallest girl in the room. The hotel was glowing. Not just from the twinkling lights that wrapped around the golden pillars or the fresh roses in the lobby, but from the joyful buzz in the air. Something big was about to happen. "Tonight's the Meadowville Kindness Gala," Ms. Rosie announced, pinning a sparkling flower brooch on her blazer. It's the first time our town is celebrating people who make a difference, quietly, kindly, and without asking for anything in return. Lena was dusting a vase nearby. She paused, listening. And, Ms. Rosie continued, with a little grin, "We have a surprise guest of honor." Lena smiled politely and moved on, not realizing who the guest of honor really was. Meanwhile, in his art-filled apartment, Jude was brushing the edges of a canvas. It was his biggest painting yet, Lena standing in sunlight, surrounded by stars shaped like tiny acts of kindness, a cup of tea, a mop, a crumpled note that read "Keep walking tall." He covered it gently with cloth and whispered, "Tonight, you'll shine." At home, Toby was bouncing like a rubber ball. "Are you nervous, Lena?" he asked as she zipped up her cleanest dress, simple, blue, and freshly ironed. "Nervous? Me?" she giggled. "Okay, maybe a little. You're gonna be the best one there," Toby declared. "They should make you mayor." Lena laughed and kissed his forehead. "How about we just aim for a fun night?" As guests arrived at the gala, music floated through the air like butterflies. Tables were decorated with lanterns, and everyone was dressed in their finest. Reporters stood by with notepads and cameras, ready to capture every magical moment. Jude arrived with the painting tucked safely behind a curtain. He greeted Ms. Rosie, who winked and whispered, "She still doesn't know." Ruby, the mayor's daughter, stood at the podium as the crowd settled. "Good evening, Meadowville," she beamed. "Tonight, we honor someone who reminds us that even the smallest good deed can light up the world." Lena, standing in the crowd beside Toby and Ms. Rosie, clapped cheerfully until Ruby said her name. "Our kindness star of the year is Lena Everly." Lena froze. Everyone stood and clapped. Toby jumped up and down, yelling, "That's my sister." Lena looked around, stunned. Me?" Ms. Rosie gently nudged her forward. "Go, sweetheart. You earned it." Lena slowly walked to the stage, her eyes wide. Ruby hugged her and whispered, "You're the reason I started smiling more." A spotlight bathed Lena in golden light. She turned to the crowd, unsure what to say. But then she saw Jude, standing near the edge of the room, smiling softly. And somehow, she found her voice. I don't think I've done anything special," she said. "I just tried to be kind. Even when people weren't kind to me." The room was still. Sometimes, when you don't have much, kindness is the only thing you can give. And I guess, that's enough to change the world. Cheers erupted. Ruby clapped the loudest. Then Jude stepped forward, gently carrying his painting. Everyone turned as he unveiled it. Gasps echoed around the room. There Lena stood in the painting, glowing, radiant, with stars all around her. Lena covered her mouth. "Is that me?" Jude nodded. "It's how the world sees you. The way I saw you, even before you believed it yourself." Tears welled in her eyes. "You were the one helping me." "I just gave little nudges," Jude replied. "You did the rest." Ruby leaned in and whispered to Lena, "You should hang that in the hotel." Lena laughed. "Right above the mop closet?" "No," Ruby grinned. "Right in the lobby. Where everyone can see what kindness looks like." Days later, the painting was placed near the hotel entrance. A plaque below it read, "Keep walking tall, the story of one kind heart that changed us all." Guests paused to look at it, smiling. Some even asked for Lena's autograph. Even grumpy Chef Albert said, "You're famous now. Better not quit on us." And as for Tessa? She was quietly removed from her fancy club after the gala. No one liked her muddy tricks. She moved to another town, and the last thing anyone saw was her silver car speeding away under a cloudy sky. One morning, as Lena watered the lobby plants, Jude walked in holding 2 cups of cocoa. "One for you," he said. "And the other?" she asked with a smirk. "For me. Unless you want both." She grinned. "Let's share." Toby ran up beside them with a broom almost as tall as he was. "I'm cleaning today," he shouted. Lena laughed. "Looks like you've got a helper, Jude." "Perfect," Jude said. "Kindness runs in the family." And as the morning sun rose, casting golden light on the painting, the mop bucket, and the smiling trio in the lobby, one thing was clear. Kindness, no matter how small, leaves the biggest footprints. Hello tribe, hope we enjoyed today's story. Please kindly put what you've learned in the comments section. Please remember to hit the like button, share this to your friends and family, as well as subscribe to see you on the next one. Bye.